All right. So let's talk a little bit about the Utah Florida game here. Guys, give me your thoughts. We'll talk about betting lines and talk about props and all that kind of stuff. But give us your overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to if Cam Rising goes or don't go. If he does go, I don't think he's going to be 100%.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to come down to our front seven just stopping the run. I think Brant Kuthi is another thing. If he can't go, I don't know. We should have a big advantage if those guys can go. I know it's next man up, and they got some guys that can play football. I respect Kyle Whittingham's program. It's going to be a battle, so I don't think we're going to come in here and blow anybody out. I know we got some of that in the comments. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. We could run away with it, but it's going to have to be earned. Those guys are not about to lay down. I don't care who's injured. So I think if we can stop the run, we go out there in our front seven, handle business. I like that we can rotate and go more than just we go now 2 and 3 deep and not lose a lot of talent. And there's not a lot of drop off like last year. So like between last year and this year, while I know we lost Anthony Richardson, we also gained some defenders that Utah didn't see last year from Taraji Mitchell to the guys with Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks. I think that's where we win this football game at. Our front seven on defense and then our run game on offense. Not having Mertz. Mertz don't have to sling it around. He just have to be able to hit the playmakers in space, let those guys do what they do. Not a huge believer of Utah secondary as well. I think we got some guys that can run by them when it pertains to just pure speed. So I think we can sneak up on these boys a little bit, even though they want some revenge and get back from last year. Nobody's expecting the Florida Gators to have the type of football team I think we're gonna feel. So I feel good with Rising. The status that he's at. If he was 100% healthy, it's a different football game because he
He's
can
a
just
top
get
10
outside.
quarterback. He's a top
Right.
10 quarterback in the country if he's healthy.
Right.
Which he won't be healthy. Like the timeline, like he simply, I don't see him being the Cam Rising he was last year. And last year he killed Florida with his legs, 91 yards. He's turning the sticks over, turning the chains over. Even if Brant Keithy can't go, I think Josh mentioned him, Thomas Yasmin. He's 6'5", 250. I think 5 of his 6 touchdowns last year were in the last 6 games, 5 games. That's a matchup nightmare. It's someone that big. You tell me he's from Sydney, Australia. Shout out to Jeremy Crawshaw, former rugby player. That's a tough dude. I think also something we didn't talk about is in home field advantage. It's not just altitude. Utah plays different at home. They've won 14 straight. They've won, I think, 22 of the last 24 at home.
Yeah.
They average their defense gives up like 2 touchdowns less at home than they did on the road. It's not going to be an SEC atmosphere. Listen, Florida played last year at Neyland. They're going to play this year at Death Valley. Those stadiums seat almost double what they'll play. But there is something to how well Utah has played under Kyle Whittingham, not just last year, going for most of his tenure, how well they play at home.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the Gators are going to be a markedly different team overall, right? Obviously, a new quarterback. The running attack is different from last year as well. You have another year of Montrell Johnson and Trevor Etienne getting better, and everything that we've seen out of them has been all that's advertised. Obviously, the offensive line has some question marks. Tight ends, wide receivers, the entire offense is just going to look different than last year. But I don't think that the game plan changes. I think that you really try to take advantage of their lack of preparation or their lack of experience, at safety. You try to make some of those, crossing routes and intermediate throws that hopefully Graham Mertz can make that we weren't able to do last year, right? And yes, Anthony Richardson willed this team to win, and Amari Vernon gets the game-winning interception to end the game. But Anthony Richardson certainly wasn't perfect, and that there's a lot of plays and a lot of throws that I'm sure he wishes he had back in that game. So I think that Florida's going to be different on offense this year against this Utah team. I don't think that the Utah team that they're bringing into the swamp this year is better than the team that they brought in last year. It might be the same. Obviously, if Cam Rising doesn't play, I think it's a worse program. I don't think that Florida, and right now Florida is a 6.5-point underdog. That line has gone up and down over the last few weeks here, but right now I like Florida's chances. I don't know if we'll pick it here in a minute. I don't know if I'm going to pick Florida to win, but I definitely think there's a lot.
MGM Grand is like trying to get like an intern. They're trying to have somebody at the sports book get like a Utah athletics internship to get in on campus. Be like, hey man, we haven't gotten a damn word about Cam Rising. We need to get someone on the inside.
Yeah, the line went down to like 5.5 and went back up. I think when they dropped the depth chart. They dropped the depth chart, and which is the indication of nothing. Kyle Whittingham's gonna play this game, this strategy, this chess. Make Billy Napier and Austin Armstrong prepare for 3 quarterbacks if they have to, right? Just more time taken away from your practice. I get it, but that line is definitely gonna change again. I expect it to go down once it gets a little confirmed that Cam and Brent, if they don't play that line. But I mean, the lines are out the window. They was favored last year, and they caught these hands. So line, spine, slime, whatever you want to do, man. You got to line up and play football. It's gonna come down to some guys that we aren't expecting because this is a new team. So it's gonna be some X factors. We're playing a lot of young boys, a lot of freshmen. Who do you think, Nick, could be the X factor on offense that we haven't been talking about? Could just show himself. Pause.
I'm not laughing at you.
Who's opening the kimono, Nick?
I need to get off comments.
No, the comments is booming. Y'all keep beefing in the comments, man. I like it. Zeus is like trying to fight 10 Gator fans at one time, bro. Good luck, bro.
Honestly, welcome Zeus and you, Callie. He was down in the public school education. It is a top 5 public university in the country.
Uli Cal,
Uli Cal. But shout out to the Utah guys in here. Happy to have you.
Sriracha is ready for payday here, so join us on YouTube. It's a fun time on the YouTube.
YouTube is going crazy. For me, like I don't know that there are X factors in terms of like guys we haven't talked about. I would like to see Arliss Boardingham be an X factor. I think that his size, his weight, I think he's a guy that you can get. Slide him out into the slot. So, a guy that can line up with his hand in the dirt, can motion around, move him around, find creative ways to get him the ball. I think Ricky Pearsall can't ever be an X factor because he's going to be a guy that defenses game plan for all year. So when I think X factor, it's not just who's a guy who can have a big game. It's who's a guy that maybe we don't expect or on a fringe could have a big game. And I want a season X factor to be Eugene Wilson. But is that going to be game 1 on the road against a veteran defense? I don't know.
Why not, baby?
Yeah. Eugene Wilson drops the 21. Would have loved to see it. I know we said it's egregious, but would have loved to see him.
21. Can you do so? I had that all planned out, man. I had a vibe set up for that one.
You and our boy Velo.
I was singing on the podcast,
Hey, he's Eugene Wilson III. They call him Trey. Now he's wearing Trey. It all makes sense.
I get it.
We like him for 3 touchdowns against Utah.
Oh, of course, Dan. Obviously, Trey.
All right, perfect.
Might as well keep the theme going. X Factor, Dan. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Montrell Johnson. And I'll say that's not really super fair, but I think all of the hype has been around Trevor Etienne all offseason. I think that Montrell Johnson is a very, very capable all SEC caliber running back, and I think that he is going to be the guy that shoulders the most yards and the most touchdowns in this game against Utah. So I'm going to go Montrell Johnson. It's going to be my X factor for this game.
I like that. Those are 2 good ones.
Who you got, Silk?
I'm gonna go I'm gonna go Caleb Douglas. I know the young wide receivers. I expect those guys, but Caleb Douglas has a knack of getting behind deep defensive backs. Man, I think he's a savvy route runner. We just need him to come down with it, but I think he has a big game. He didn't. I don't like the way
stick him on his hands like they did in Little Giants.
Yeah. I think he figures all that out, but I like him to have a first big game. I was gonna say Mertz. I think Mertz. I know we're expecting to lean on his running game and defense, but I think Caleb Douglas. That's my X factor. I think he has a big game. I think he gets behind that Utah secondary early and often.
All right, let's. We did get a super chat question from Chris Sorley in the middle of his bickering back and forth with the Utah
Hey,
fans.
Chris, stand tall in those trenches.
Yeah, that's right. Stand tall, baby. If UF gets burned by a third string QB, how does that affect morale? What if Graham Mertz throws 2 or 3 picks? LOL.
If he
I'm
throws
gonna get
2 or
my-
3
I'm getting-
picks, leave Twitter for the weekend, fam.
I'm getting my LinkedIn profile updated. I don't
Micah,
want to be.
Micah Leon, according to Steve Spurrier, next man up.
Yeah, Steve didn't seem like a big Graham Mertz fan, but Steve, to be honest, I haven't seen the head ball coach out there a lot, but no slander on SOS's name ever from this guy. So if that happens, where you took it away, if Florida gets burned by a third string quarterback, Mrs. Austin Armstrong will probably feel the same way Mrs. Tony felt about Florida fans.
No Publix trips in her future, you know?
I think Armstrong will fire back at y'all boys. Y'all talk greasy to him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's the same as Patrick Tony. I think Austin Armstrong might throw hands with y'all, bro. I'm be real.
Oh,
I hope so. I have seen like a lot of fans talking about like Florida's going to have like those talking about this defense like it's going to be like a Will Muschamp defense. And I'm like, I do like the depth better.
Right.
I really don't like Florida's safety room at all.
Right.
I like the cornerbacks. I like the linebacker room. I like the depth there. I love the depth along the defensive line. Like I think Justice Boone or a player like Justice Boone getting hurt last year might have crippled the defensive line, might have crippled that edge room. And now you kind of just move Tyreek Sapp over. You think Jack Pyburn's going to be good. So like the depth there is really good. But like Florida was 97th in total defense last year.
Yeah.
Right.
97th.
I
So
think
like
the
to
solution
say
for
that
us,
they're going to be
my bad.
the strength of the team, I just don't know that yet. Like, are there pieces? Yeah, but we're putting a lot of projection on some guys who haven't done it yet, but we think could do it.
Right.
It's talking season.
Yeah, I think that
maybe.
what can help our safeties, because I think my cornerback room is they with the shits this fall. Excited about them boys. But I think what can help our safeties is just a pass rush that we was missing last year. You know, that's the best thing for a secondary is a defensive line that can affect the quarterback and make him move and get rid of the ball a little faster. So, yeah, I think we're gonna have a really good defense. If the safety room is figured out and those guys start clicking, it could be elite. So that's where I'm at with it. Plenty of depth. What are you concerned about defensively going into this game? You know, just from every level, experience, safety, whatever it may be. What are you looking out for? What are you looking out for?
I think I'm looking out for tackling. Like Florida hasn't been live the way that Utah was. I don't think they were a great tackling team last year. I don't know that they're going to be great in week 1 tackling. It's just I think it's just a system of how football is practiced now. There's no 3-a-days. There's no 2-a-days. You're not taking guys to the ground. There's no way to simulate those live reps until you start getting them. And you're going to have to get them Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's an issue for me. I don't think they'll have a problem stopping the run, but like there were a lot of times last year where like Desmond Watson, we talk about him being a big run stopper, gap eater, and it's just like he was kind of just moved, or they just held him in place and did what they wanted to do, on a various play. Now he was having to play 25, 35, 40 snaps a game, which he won't have to this year. So I don't think fitting the run will be an issue. But that's something to look for early on, second quarter, third quarter. How are the guys holding up? Third quarter, early fourth quarter, late fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was a lot, Nick. That was good. Talked a lot about that. My biggest thing for this entire season is going to be on missed tackles. I think that's something that the Gators were terrible on. Actually, I've got another one. Tackles is number 1, and then number 2 is going to be doing more press at the line of scrimmage for defensive backs. Those are things that I want to start seeing more of. I think that we have the physical bodies. I think that we have some really good defensive backs. I think that the top three that the Gators have of Jason Marshall, Devin Moore, and Jalen Kimber, however that ultimately shakes out, I think that you have three very good defensive backs there. I don't want to see us playing 8-10 yards off the line of scrimmage every single play. But missed tackles and our willingness to play press man on defense are two big things that I want to see in this team. And then ultimately, Nick, you made the point as well. From a depth concern, I just want to make sure that this team is conditioned and ready to go. There's a lot of players that can play. It's a lot of new, young players, a lot of people that we're excited about. But, it's that time when they tap your helmet, you're in. So let's see what this team can do.
Yeah, mine is just from a discipline standpoint, assignment football, not a lot of pointing at each other in between plays, like what the hell just happened, a lot of hands up. Didn't like any of that last year. Setting the edge, everybody just doing assignment football. I think the talent is there. So I want to see from Patrick Toney, that's what I didn't like last year, was just like a lot of, players looking at each other like who mistake it was after every play. So just from an assignment football standpoint, they got that Nate Johnson kid who may come in and do some wildcat running back stuff. Setting the edge is going to be important. Would have been more important if it can rise in the starting. But still, assignment football is assignment football. Everybody knowing their job. I want to see, just from a leadership standpoint, Taraji Mitchell, whoever the safeties they have back there. I know we got the R.J. Moulton from Michigan that transfer. These are older guys, so just want to see a defense that's assignment ready. Even before then, we the year before Patrick Toney, it took them forever to get plays in, to get lined up. It's just been a continual year after year of just guys not knowing their assignments and not being able to execute. So I want to see an assignment sound, executing sound defense.
Yeah, and that'll be huge. One second, Nick. That'll be huge. You're replacing your two starting safeties. You're replacing a lot of your linebacking group as well. That's a lot of new voices. A lot of them are new to the program as well, right? Taraji Mitchell, R.J. Moulton, Manny Nunnery. These are all new names to the Florida program this year, right? And obviously Arson Armstrong is new too. But ultimately being able to communicate, knowing who to listen to, get in the right spots, understanding assignments, and moving is going to be important for this team, right? Because this Kyle Whittingham machine and these gears have been in motion for almost 20 years now, right? So they know the protocol, they know the words, they know the verbiage, right? So right. For this team, it's a matter of making sure that they're ready and focused and can block out some of the noise there.
Taraja. I got you, Terry. I got you, Terry. Mr. Mitchell, I know you're a listener.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Taraja.
I said ja, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I say it wrong. Taraja.
Yeah.
Another thing to watch. I know Florida's talked really highly of Jake Slaughter. I just haven't seen a lot of him. And it's not just a Florida thing. Like if the many teams across the country, outside of maybe like Ohio State and Georgia, if you lose one or two offensive linemen, your offense might tank. I don't know that Florida can withstand losing two. You start playing Tetris on super hard mode, trying to fit new pieces in. I do like Najee Harris a lot. I think Jordan Herman's a guy that Florida likes, but is he going to be ready? Staying healthy on the offensive line is going to be huge. Kingsley Aguakin is already dealing with a high ankle sprain that forced him to miss the end of fall camp. He's day-to-day heading into Thursday. If you're taking out your center who has started the last 26 games and has played in 40 games over 4 years, that's not a great start. So health along the offensive line, paramount to me, especially when you're looking at a Florida team that needs to run the ball effectively this year.
That's another thing too. Run the damn ball. Like I think that cost us
buy the shirts.
Buy the shirts. Yeah, StayMiguel.com/shop. Run the damn ball shirts.
Run the damn ball, bro. I think that cost us the Florida State game. We was running down their throat first half, and then second half we got all cute. If the running games work, lean on Montrell, lean on ETN. Wear teams out, and then in the fourth quarter you want to bring the young boy Trayon in to get some more reps. Let's do that, but let's not get cute. If the running game's working and they can't stop it and we just mauling people at the line, let the offensive line eat and pancake shit, man. That's my take for game one. Like let's go with what works. I know we're gonna go in this thing and try to run the ball. I want to see Billy Napier improve as an overall head coach, whether it's play calling, time management, and every aspect. I think like the time management was a thing last year when he was calling timeouts. Starting the second half, that middle eight is what they call it, right? If I'm not mistaken, he just struggled with that. So I want to see some improvement, and that's going to get us. I know we talk about personnel changing to get us some wins, but him improving that middle eight and how we do some things as far as time management get us some dubs, or it can cost us. So I want to see him improve in that fashion as well. Game one, right out the gate.
Yeah, we had Billy Napier on in the program back a few months ago. So you can listen to that interview. And that's a lot what he talks about is being able to look back on this season and areas of opportunity for them to improve. I know time management in that middle eight. Silk, I know you asked that question about the middle eight, which if you're listening is the last 4 minutes of the second quarter and the first 4 minutes of the third, how much the Gators were getting beat by during that time. That really flipped the game, unfortunately, for a lot of the Gators games last season. Let's get an X factor for you boys against Utah on defense. So on offense, Nick, did you choose Pearsall? Did you pick an actual name?
I gave myself. I picked many names.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You clearly have forgotten how I work in season form. We pick every side of the fence, all the plays.
Yeah, no, I know. This is a black and white show this year. No gray areas.
Nah, the show seems gray as my beard.
Very good. So your offensive player, we're going to go with Ricky Pearsall.
Sure.
So let's get a defensive player of the year. We'll go in snake order. So Silk, you went third last time, so you go first this time.
X Factor defense, man, this is a tough one. Give me Jack Pyburn, man.
Woo!
Gets in some situational stuff and go crazy and get him a sack or two and affect the passer. Energy-wise, I think it'll be big if Jack can get in there and get some stuff done. Give me Jack Pyburn, the boy out of 954. I like his energy.
Had a couple great tweets about Jack Pyburn.
I told y'all last year I was watching him on special teams, every special team. The guy was a maniac, bruh. And so I'm not surprised to see, him, like the things I'm hearing from him in camp, because people that could just run through walls and don't care about, their face and their body and that type of CTE, they don't really have any reservations towards that type of stuff. Those are good football players, and Jack Pyburn is one of those guys. So give me Jack Pyburn out the gate.
All right, I'm gonna go with my boy Jalen Kimber. I know you thought I might go with Jaden Hill because I said my boy.
The season goes.
The season. I'm not
going
to say that this season.
You can't retire that.
As Jaden Hill goes, I have to. That
was the best stick of the season.
I just don't wish bad on people. Nick, last year I said it goes as he goes. He ends up season-ending injury. So I want to see Jalen Kimber healthy. Out of the cast and everything else. I think that he's going to have a great season for the Gators. I think they're going to put Cam Rising out there. I think they're going to at least test him out, throw the ball in I think that Jason Marshall is going to be a guy that they're going to try to avoid. And Jalen Kimber, without a lot of tape, is going to be the guy that they go after. And I like him for an interception and 2 passes deflected. PBUs.
Peanut Butter University.
Peanut Butter University. All right, Nick, who do you got?
I'm going to go. It probably won't show up in the stats, so you're going to actually have to watch the game, not watch the ball. I'm going to go Cam Jackson. I think he has, coming from Memphis, doesn't get talked about, I think, like outside of Gainesville circles very much.
Right.
But I think having him and then the guys you have behind him, I think he'll be able to play fresh. And he came into Florida to prove something. Playing in Memphis, he probably could have gotten drafted if he had stayed in Memphis another year, but he came to the SEC to show that he can play in the trenches in the best conference in college football. So I'm going to go with Cam Jackson in his orange and blue debut.